Okay.
Welcome, everybody, to the Texas to Tennessee podcast. We are lucky enough this evening to have a fine gentleman on. His name is Lance Roark, and we're excited to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
You bet. I'm a little bit, maybe have a little bit of an advantage, but could you, for those, maybe the viewers that aren't super familiar with your story, could you take maybe a couple minutes and give us your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm from the Tahlequah area, and I still live here now. But played music for a long time, just kind of locally in Tulsa and Fort Smith or something, And then I met R.C. Edwards of the Turnpike Troubadours, and I joined his band while the Turnpike was on their little hiatus, and we went around and started getting a bigger audience and stuff just from his reputation and how cool the band was. And after Turnpike decided to get back together, I wanted to release some of my own music, and I got hooked up with Hank Early of the Troubadours, and he recorded my first EP, Better Man, and we released that 2 years ago now. And ever since then, like I got signed with a label and management system and a booking agency, and have just been touring nationally now for about a year and a half or so. And so that's pretty much where I'm at still today.
Yeah, cool story. I think a lot of folks, maybe, I don't know. I feel like a lot of folks maybe were introduced to you through your writing with Turnpike. Can you tell us maybe a little bit about that?
Yeah, so RC and we write quite a few songs together, and we were fortunate enough to get one of those songs noticed by Evan, and he liked it enough so that they decided to take that song Chipping Mill and put it on their comeback album A Cat in the Rain. And so that was pretty cool. That's been a highlight of the last year for me for sure. But like I said, he and I write quite a bit, and hopefully we can get another one on there. And if not, then I'll just take any songs that they didn't cut and I'll cut them.
Not bad. Yeah, that's not a bad spot to be in. What was that like? I guess I don't know if you can share this or not, but what was that like finding out that your song was going to be cut by Turnpike?
Yeah,
that's got to be kind of crazy.
It's incredible, just especially as an artist that is, virtually right now underground and nobody knows outside of my region and a few of the shows that I've played nationally now, who I am exactly. And so to have, the two singers that I love the most, or the songwriters I love the most, like a song that I've helped write or write, regardless of what lines it are or what lines they are, it's pretty incredible because I look up to their songwriting. I've done it for years now. I used to know every Turnpike song you could think of, and maybe that's where my writing style kind of, is interwoven between those two guys, and of course my other influences as well. But Turnpike had a big inspiration on me.
Cool. And Lance, can you tell us a little bit about the Tahlequah, Oklahoma scene in terms of musically?
Yeah, there's a couple other guys that are here in town that are doing some pretty good sized things too. So I think it's definitely growing down here. There's something in the water, is what Gary and Charlie from Muscadine were telling me. They're like, man, you guys have got something, especially in that location of the state. Like, because Zach Bryan, he's from Oologah, which is not, but maybe an hour and a half away from here. It's like that northeast Oklahoma part where there's just a bunch of stuff coming out of it, and it's pretty interesting. But as far as the local scene goes, I don't really go out to the bars or anything. There's only one place here in town that you can go play music, and I haven't been there in a while just because I'm trying to keep my head on straight. But there's some good bands that go through there still, semi-nationally or regionally, that will go and play that bar.
All right, Soule, you ready?
Yeah. That did kind of bring up a question. The difference between there's kind of a hotbed in that area for songwriters and artists and all of that. But what about as far as accepting the music that actually comes from there. I know there's a difference between having an audience that's receives that music and the artists that make it. So I was just curious, is there a big scene for that?
Um, well, let me ask, how do you mean them accepting it? The other artists around here, or
No, the ears, new, like fans wise.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Since so, I played Tahlequah here recently for the Red Fern Fest, and going to the bar just a year and a half ago compared to, or playing it 2 years ago now compared to headlining the festival and having a few thousand people there. I think they're all very receptive, and especially like the other up and comer Blaine Bailey. He is drawing a big crowd, especially locally here recently too. Um, yeah, I think they're all loving it. It's hard. I don't know if I should say it's hard not to, but whenever you have such good people that are coming out, and I'm not saying just myself, you should always want to root for somebody, especially a local person, and I think that they definitely have.
Yeah. That's cool that that it can be. But you know what I mean, though. So a lot of times, artists come out and it can be really good, but it won't be won't be as listened to in their own area as it would be other places. So
And
so
some,
I know that's a tricky deal sometimes. So it's great that that there's that you don't have to go somewhere else to find your audience.
yeah,
Also,
sure.
yeah.
Um,
So, I
So
don't know if you are. Sorry, just to interrupt here for a
no,
sec. Are you familiar with Diamond Stone? Have you heard of that festival?
no.
Okay. Well, it's what was the previous name? Sorry,
Medicine Stone back then.
Medicine Stone. Yeah.
I've heard of
So
that. Yes.
that's right in the area as well, and
Okay.
that I think drove a lot of folks to kind of check out what was going on locally.
Yeah, yeah. It used to be a very, very big festival. I think, well, I say very, very big. Nothing like Born and Raised even, but still 15 or 10 to 15,000 in a day for over the 2 days and sometimes 3 days that they would have it. And Turnpike actually owned that festival. And so that's pretty cool. But
Yep.
yeah, it's a
So
beautiful trip. So, I mean,
Yeah. Fun times.
So when I come across your music, honestly, I'm a big American Aquarium fan.
yeah,
We've had this conversation a little bit, but so I kind of like to, whenever I can actually see the information of who's opening, I kind of do a deep dive a little bit and see what's see who it is and all that. So I follow you on TikTok, and one of your first videos I see is Chipping Mill, and I'm like, oh, cool, he's doing a Chipping Mill cover. And then dive a little bit more and realize uh, the reason why you're doing Chipping Mill.
cool.
So I guess, how long were you on the road when you were doing that American Aquarium tour? That wasn't very long at that point, was it?
So yeah, no, it hadn't been very long.
Okay.
I signed back last March with my booking agency, which is who Turnpike uses as well. But so since pretty much like June of last year, I took a whole bunch of crazy, crazy cool opportunities that like I don't know how I got them, or looking back now, it's like it was pretty nuts. And American Aquarium was one of them. I done 16 days in a row with those guys. Those guys are some road dogs. And so I was in a van or my vehicle, and it was just me and my fiddle player, and we traveled all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, all the way to Salt Lake City, down through Tulsa, Dallas, and then we ended in Memphis. And so that was quite the trek. But no, I had only been on the road for maybe eight months, I guess, or 9 months at that point.
I got you. Well, you couldn't tell. I'll say that part. You know what I mean. I go to quite a bit of concerts, and it didn't stand out at all. So so kudos
Or
on that.
for the Memphis show, I'm guessing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I busted my string and had to. I
Yeah.
was It was a crazy show on that one. That was the last show too, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think you had to play one with 5 strings. I think
So yeah,
play a slot. Yeah, yeah. But like I said, you couldn't. You know, the crowd was laughing along with you and cool. So
yeah,
it
I
was.
love when that happens. The only reason why I'm good at transitioning and making it work now is because I used to not be. I've had it happen so many times at this point.
And who was
Yeah.
your fiddle player then? Is he
He's still the guy now. His name's Tony Spots.
okay? You guys, yeah, you had something for sure. You could tell y'all were buddies or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was cool. All right, Talbo, you got another
Lance,
one?
was that the first time you were chasing a band? Like chasing
Yeah.
the.
I chased Co Wetzel's band for just a little bit, but it was only like 3 shows. But we had to get all the way out there to like I think one was in Utah, Minnesota, and Wyoming, or Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming. But we had kind of set up a headline tour along that path, so it kind of worked out. But yeah,
Nice.
that was the first time. But then Muscadine and I have done that here recently too, chasing them down a little bit.
How did you feel? If you remember, how did you feel the reception was with Co's convicts or his fans?
So surprisingly, like the very first, they all 3 went really well, um, and I say that so I can blame it on um, this here. I had went and got a haircut like the day or 2 before we left, and it was a new barber, and she scalped me, and so I mean I don't think I lost any fans over it, but they were really good. They received everything well. I just played a 30-minute opening set. Um, I would think that the only crowd that I wasn't winning over was in Colorado Springs, I think. And to be honest with you, even Co was having. It was just a weird, different crowd. Maybe they were just all really high, but I don't know. The first show was the biggest show I had played. It was like 6,000 people inside of my first arena show, and so we
Oh
went
wow,
out there. We put on the best show that we could, and ended up breaking a string there too because I was just wailing on the guitar. But yeah, it was very receptive, surprisingly, because at that time that was a El Paso tour, and Co hadn't came out with his newer stuff here, which is a little bit more mellow than what he was doing on for the El Paso.
right.
But
Um, some people judge. You might have heard me say this before, Soul, but some people judge wealth by financial means. Some people judge wealth by how you get to decide how you spend your time. I judge wealth by how great a guitar tech you have. So
yeah,
that seems like the coolest thing ever if you get to have one of those.
I'm looking forward to it. That will keep him very employed with how many strings I go through.
Yeah. Well, Lance is I can verify Lance is a really great guitarist and a great picker. So one of my favorite parts of getting to see him live. Not to butter you up too much, but in terms of your sound, hopefully this doesn't come across the wrong way, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel like your recorded sound took a pretty big jump from Better Man to 10 Killer. Anything that you can share with us on production
Yeah.
changes or anything that made that audibly different?
Yeah, well, so back then when I recorded Better Man, that was just Hank and I inside of his home studio here in Tahlequah. But I didn't have a band. I didn't have a drummer, a bass player, a guitar player, or fiddle at that point. But so Hank and I would go in, and this was Hank's very first or his second EP. He had cut RC and the Ambers, but he was still learning as well. And this was my very first time going in. And so, as far as like recording things, we would get recordings sent in from us, and I would have to sit there and be like, I changed this part of the drums, or Hank would play the bass, and I would be like, that sounds good, I might not like that there or whatever. And so it was really just him and I like just kind of pushing through this without any other musical, parts going in. And now I go up to Tulsa and I record at my buddy's Deadhead Records place, which is Andrew Bear, and he was formerly keys player for the Stragglers and Paul Cawthon as well. But now I've got a band, and so we all five went in and were able to piece these songs together. And we had already been playing a couple of them live, and so that really helped. And Andrew's a great producer as well. Not that Hank is not. Hank is actually on one of my here recent recordings that I'm making. But yeah, it was just different. Andrew, I think, brought a lot of ideas to the table as far as like production wise. The band had already had a lot of it put together, but we sat down and we thought about each individual song and how we could make it a little bit special or different than the next song. And that's what we're doing now as well. I was supposed to be in the studio Monday and Tuesday to record vocals, and Born and Raised completely took it out of me. And so I'm actually on like a self-diagnosed vocal rest for singing and stuff, just because I can't hit the notes right now.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, this question is a little more, I don't know, it's kind of a goofy question, but to me, they're, kind of, I'm sure there's more, but I see like four main parts of, your career. You've got your writing, your recording, your performing, and then the fourth category is, I guess, kind of the business, running the business. So how do you kind of prioritize each of those? And maybe there's a fifth or sixth that I'm not aware of, but if, which area do you think is maybe your strongest, and which area do you feel, maybe is something that you're super focused on and might not be the strongest?
Yeah, for sure. I think that my strongest suit would be the songwriting, just because that's something I can go in and do every single day. And as far as like the business side of things go, over the past year and a half, I've gotten, I would say, very good comparative to what I used to be. And so like I, track my finances and stuff. And luckily I've got people helping me at this point, just making like merch orders and designs and whatnot. That's not my strongest suit, is like merch and stuff. So I actually handed that over here recently to my wife, Hannah. And so she will help me come up with ideas, and then she will put in the orders. That way I can focus on content creation, because that is the biggest thing that I have trouble with, is just, making more content, making more meaningful content constantly. It's, something I've got to try to think about every day. And whenever I've got a family in the house at home, it's kind of hard to juggle some of it sometimes,
Understand. Yeah, for sure. And where does recording and performing fall on that list for you?
I would say that I say the songwriter was probably the strongest suit, but I think performing live that's my favorite part of it. That's the only thing I wish I had to do, is just go out and just play, and I didn't have to do anything else.
Right. I understand.
And I would even say that, like, hopefully it gets to be that way, but it won't be that way. I want to have all my hands all on deck at all times, because I can't expect everybody else to do it if I'm not doing it too. And so I'm just trying to lead by for everything. But recording wise, I feel like me as an actual player, I am pretty good at recording at this point. Like I can go in and just do a couple takes and acoustic or electric, and I'm pretty close to being done. It's still a learning curve, because I'm learning, just guitar every day and just trying to become a better musician for the studio, and so that I'm not wasting time.
Yeah, it's obviously expensive.
Right. Yeah, very expensive.
For sure.
So, your guitar style, can we talk about that a little bit? Because when I think of red dirt country, I don't like flat picking lead on a acoustic doesn't necessarily come to mind. And I know you've never said that you're a red dirt or not, or you haven't ever. I've never heard you say that, but still, It's different, and which is cool, because I could see you fitting in any of the West Virginia festivals or any of the any of the Kentucky stuff or whatever. Just because the two of you that I heard anyway, you would be able to blend in a couple different styles like that. So where did
Yeah.
that come from?
So I grew up playing a lot of bluegrass festivals, not like in the festivals themselves, but I would go to there's a place here in Arkansas called Turkey Track and Winfield. Everybody's heard of Winfield. You know, funny though that I've actually never been there for a jam. I used to go to another International Bluegrass Association festival up there called Winter Jam, and there's like a few other handful, just small get-togethers that I would go to. I actually, and it's funny, I actually didn't really like bluegrass back then because I was just playing rhythm for everybody, and I always thought I don't want to do that. I'd rather pick. And so then I finally learned, who Tony Rice and Brian Sutton were, and Colby Kilby, and I started listening to them and watching them, and I really, really liked the fact that if I could play something on acoustic, I could easily play it on electric, and so I eventually got me an electric and started playing both of them, and but yeah, it just kind of comes from also like my lead playing is all from Southern rock stuff too. I grew up on every Southern rock artist that you can think of, and I learned probably more solos than I could count. And I think that combining the two of them and doing it on the acoustic, I always wanted to be that player that could do that and maybe set the tone for that type of music, because I wanted to include the singer-songwriter lyrically and the rock and roll and country and just kind of blend them together. And I thought that maybe the only way that I could do that was if I stayed on acoustic and brought that to the table.
Even now, when you're touring, these days, are you still primarily acoustic?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
I started including my electric on a few songs, and matter of fact, like there's a couple songs on this new album that I'm making that don't have any fiddle on them, and they don't have any acoustic for what I will be playing. It'll be more Southern rock feeling, and I mean, I wish that I could just stay on acoustic, but some of them are just too strong. They need two electrics,
Right.
or three electrics and or two electrics and one acoustic, and my fiddle player will play the other electric. But yeah, I play it 95% of the time.
So, I guess go back a little bit further. I'm trying not to ask the generic podcast questions, but considering you were at a bluegrass festival, but you've learned every Southern rock lead. What was young Lance listening to then?
Oh man, it would
Or
be
what was in your house?
all of Leonard Skinner's stuff. I made a Freebird like my ultimate. Like if I could play this solo, then I know the guitar. And whenever I finally learned it, and I'm not saying Gary Rossington and Alec Collins and Steve Gaines weren't just absolute monster players. Since I learned that, I'm like, well, I got to learn something harder now. And so, there's Molly Hatchet or AC/DC stuff, which is in Southern rock, but
Right.
and all of Tom Petty stuff. I'm a huge Tom Petty fan, but it was mainly like that classic rock and southerny swampy stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody quoted me. They said that, or not quoted me, but said that Oklahoma Blacktop was a Louisiana swamp pop song. And I thought that was pretty interesting back whenever it came out. I was like, I kind of see that.
I thought the riff sounded like it could have been a Brent Cobb collaboration. To be honest,
It's really close.
it's
Yeah,
funky like it.
like 30-06 or something. Like,
Yeah.
I actually wrote that song trying to write a song like Blackberry Smoke, and so I think that's where that came out, because they're from the same areas.
And then and we can't go a podcast without mentioning Adam Hood, and he's got a lot of songs with those. Especially recently, he's been releasing more and more songs with the funky riffs to a lot of his songs. So
Yeah, I love it.
yeah,
I get down.
me too. All right, Talbo.
Lance, you mentioned your wife. Can you tell us a little bit about your support team in terms of maybe internally and then also on the business side?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So Hannah is my wife. She works here in town, and she pretty much keeps me sane as much as that's possible. And we have a 12-year-old daughter, and so sometimes whenever I got to go out and Allie or something has school, she'll stay back. And here in the last recent year, we've been able to incorporate Allie's mother that lives in Oklahoma City, and so the support here recently has really started having more of a solid foundation. Just because I've got Hanny, and then Allie's got her mom that can help us out, so Hannah can go, and and of course we got RC and Erica that they're there for us anytime that we need to for anything really.
That's great.
So that's the internal support system.
Yep.
And then in the business side of things would be I've got a management team called Teamwork, and they're all the way up in New York, and they help me as far as like day sheets go. They've got all that stuff planned out. They've got my schedules for input list and my rider list, and they keep me updated on what offers are coming in, and just things like that.
Yep.
Can you talk about that? What a input list is, and a couple of those little details that you.
Yeah. So the input list is just for my stage plot on how many microphones that I'm going to need to use for like my drums.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Like that. And then my rider list is what type of tequila I want backstage. They usually, at every bigger venue nowadays, they will bring back a beer of your choice and a whiskey of your choice. But I'm a tequila guy, and I try to stay away from beer and tequila as well. But every now and again, I'll dabble in it some. But
Understood.
I forget to mention that.
I don't know. It kind of went over my head. I was thinking like inputs, like not on stage, and then I don't even know. I thought you said writer, so I was like,
Yeah.
songwriters. Like, okay, how does that? But no, the tequila sounds that's equally as important, I guess. So
Well, it's for the creativity.
Yeah.
Get it out.
Yeah, I got you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Lance, would now be a good time to have you maybe play one for us?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Let's see. Let me make sure. Does that sound okay? Is it too loud?
That
All right.
sounds good.
Cool. Well, I'll do the first single that I released this year off the new EP. This one's Big Bad Heart. She's got a big bad heart, breaking all the time. She's got a big bad heart. I only wish that it was mine. She was the apple of her daddy's eye. I was a worm on a hook. She started talking about the catcher in the rye, and that was all it took. She's got a big bad heart, breaking all the time. She's got a big bad heart. I only wish that it was mine. Never much for the loving touch, cold as roses in the fall. I might have wanted it a little too much. If the gas was stalled, she's got a big bad heart, breaking all the time. She's got a big bad heart. I only wish that it was mine. I saw her, she was throwing at the crowbar, making eyes at the band. Say her fortunes are written in the big stars. I say they're written by him. She's got a big fat horn, breaking all the time. She's got a big fat horn. I only wish that it was mine. She's got a big fat horn. One day I'm gonna make it mine. Yeah.
There we go. Nice job.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man.
it.
That's
I'd be
one of
lying
my
if I said
favorites
that
for
was the
sure.
first time I heard it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm pretty sure I posted a video of you from that Memphis show, I think, and I'm pretty sure one of the first things me and Talbo talked about was he kind of filled me in on some more of the story, you know, of your story. So that was
So I'd made that post, and then I met somebody before on I think that we were in maybe Salt Lake City or something, or maybe not, but and the guy was like, "Man, I seen you put this cover up," and I was like, he's claiming that he wrote Chipping Mill. There ain't no way. And then you come out here and you played it, and I was like, holy cow, maybe you did. I thought that was pretty funny. Like,
Yeah, that's super cool.
like you're taking this lie way too far now.
Right.
That is what I guess when you play these shows or and you're opening for people and stuff like that, and you kick that song off. Have you ever done that without talking about it first or anything? No, you kind of soften the blow a little bit.
Talk about it just because, especially if I'm just playing a short set, I never include any type of covers if it's a short set. 45 minutes, I might have one or two, at the most, and I'll usually talk about whose it is. But that one there is like my cover, in a way.
Understood.
So I'll just talk about who I wrote it with and who plays it now. Who knows? I might cut that song eventually and play it the way that I was gonna play.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So I don't know if you'll remember this or not, but I've actually been trying to remember a song that you played at that show, and it was a cover, and it was a Steve Earle song. Do you remember?
Yeah, it was probably no, it wasn't that one. It was not Blue Side of the Mountain. Down the Road is the name of that one.
Down the Road?
Yeah.
I had Mountain in my head too because of his song, The Mountain.
Yeah.
So once I had that, after when I was on the way home, I couldn't it never came back on what the name of the song was. So,
man, that's one of my favorite songs ever. I love that it's acapella at first and acapella at the end too.
Gotcha. I'm gonna have to. I'm a way bigger Steve Earle fan than Talbo is, but
I like him fine. Yeah, that's good. Whatever.
But I'm still I like a lot more. Just saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I like him. I've never got to meet the guy, so I don't know. I've heard he can be a little cantankerous, but can't we all?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right.
My opinion on those things is you have to be able to separate the art from the artist. If it's that bad, then maybe not. But I don't know. So whatever.
So you mentioned the covers and the 45-minute time slots and all that. What about setting up a list, a show list? Do you put a lot of time into that, or do you kind of you roll with the band, or do you like things pretty structured in a certain way, or are you
structured? Yeah, I like them structured just so I can do like we'll come out of that like. And then it goes immediately into the next one. It's like, just so I can. I don't like dead space in a short set, especially if
Okay.
we're going out and we're opening for somebody. I want to be able to go out there. They don't want to hear me talk about a story. They don't know me personally yet, and even if they did know me, they might not want to hear me talk about whatever it is. And so I like to just keep it pretty straight. And so we build these sets, and I do change the songs ordering around, but I mainly keep the 45-minute set pretty close to how I want it. Now the 90 minutes for the headlining shows, it's still structured, but we have a lot more freedom in that because I don't mind if there's dead space there because I'll have to tune halfway through, and somebody else will have to tune, and it breaks up the monotony of just like getting just hammered song after song. I don't want to see that personally, but if I do see a band that can go through a really good flowing section, then pull it down and have something to say, or tell a cool story or a funny joke or whatever it may be, and then kick off into another few more songs, and then kind of keep it on a roller coaster as a listener as well, not just a musician. And so that's kind of how I've structured my sets.
Do you kind of keep the set about? Do you keep the same thing in mind depending on who you're opening for, or
Yeah,
do you do what you want to do and just roll with it?
no, I definitely kind of look at who we're opening up for. Like I won't like take songs off of the set list by any chance. I'll just structure them in a different spot that might have more of an
Gotcha.
impact statement there, like a sad song. I actually kick off all of my shows as an opener with Fatal Romance because it starts slow, and I kind of took that idea from BJ Barham and how, with a Lamentations, right? How he starts off slow and then it just kicks in because that's how Fatal Romance essentially goes too, and it gets them fired up instantly. But while it had already kind of like set their tone down here from it starting acoustic with just me, and then the band comes out and it just jumps up, and then I'll slow it down eventually after a while. But um, yeah, I think if I was to go out with Co-Wetzel again, I would probably have more of a curated set of like my harder hitting songs throughout the whole thing, and maybe like one slow song, maybe.
Understood. Because you're trying to get them fired up for him.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's just how I've always seen
Understood.
the opener's job, and I think I do my job well for that. But also, like, I don't want to get caught up in the opener spot of just getting people fired up. I want people to hear true songs too.
Yeah, I
Makes
understood
sense.
that. Yeah. Yeah. Talbo, you got one?
Yeah, Lance. Over the last, I don't know, year and a half, you've got to play some pretty cool venues. Any of them that stand out as maybe some of your favorites?
Yeah, I think so. I think one of my favorite ones is a place in New Orleans called what is the name of that? Tannehills, maybe, or is that in Dallas? Is that Fort Worth? I think that's
That's
Fort
Fort
Worth.
Worth. Yeah.
That's Fort Worth. Is the
All
name of
right.
that place? It's a place down there in New Orleans that I cannot think of it, but every single like big person that I've ever looked up to has played there. Billy
Okay.
Strings recently, I think for the New Year's Eve ball. I'll think of it here in a moment, but another place would be maybe the Scoot in Austin was a cool spot. I
Yep.
like that. Um,
Was it Lakefront?
no, are you looking
No.
up in New Orleans now?
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out which venue it was.
What
That's all right.
starts with
We'll figure it
E?
out.
Yeah, but obviously Cat Barroom's one of my favorite ones too. I love that place. Can't hardly beat that, honestly. But
One of these days.
yeah,
One of these days I'll catch a show there, but
And
haven't been out there yet.
I haven't been, yeah, I haven't been to any shows west of the Mississippi. So,
Really?
we need to change that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
What? So
We
my
need to
first
get you out to Canes.
got to come out there. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Um, let's see, what else? What was I going to ask? Oh, some of the folks that you've, I know you're buddies with RC and things like that, which I'm sure has put you in some rooms with people that you were surprised that you were around. But just touring in general, have you? Can you, I guess, talk about some of those moments where you're like, holy shit, that's such and such, or I'm doing this, or
Yeah. So some of these festivals that I've gotten to be a part of um, have been pretty cool. I got to see Charlie Crockett for the first time this year, and while I didn't get to meet him, it was just it was cool to be at the same festival and getting to see his type of show and him put that on. Um, but also so here recently I went to Nashville and I was out with Ben Chapman and I was just hanging out. I was writing a song with him the next day. I had been writing with Charlie and Gary from Muscadine and Wyatt Flores too that same week. And I walked in the room backstage in the um, basement east in Nashville, and Lucas Nelson was there, and I was like, "What is this?" And
Cool.
and then I turn around and Brent Cobb is there, like talking, and so like he and I started talking, and we connected on a really, I think, a deeper level than what I expected to be. He seemed like a very family orientated guy as well, and it was a really really cool evening. But that was one of those moments where I was like, I'm out here in Nashville, and I've rode with two big artists, and then I'm meeting these other artists, and I talked to Lucas, and he was like, "Man, if you ever want to write a song," he's like, "You can come out here." And I was like, "Wow, okay."
What are you doing right now?
I'm like, are you looking at me, or is there somebody behind me that you're talking to?
That's cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
but he really does seem to. I guess just the way he seems to carry himself, you would not think he's Willie Nelson's son. Does that make sense? He
Yeah.
does. Yeah, he doesn't seem to just be riding on that name or whatever. Like he's doing his own thing, and seems to be you know you know as much as as a Willie Nelson son can be a normal person.
Got to be tough.
Yeah. That would have to be very tough.
Yeah.
I've tried, man, me being in that same situation and how like I would handle it or which direction I would have went, having a type of father like that, but pretty hard to wrap your head around.
For sure. Lance, what if we were to hop in your truck? I know you told us a little bit about your influences, but I mean, do you have a playlist that you listen to, or do you have what would we hear?
I've got like my main artist that I like to listen to, and it's going to really take you guys by surprise. I think it will take pretty much anybody that knows me by surprise, but it's a lot of Chapel Roan and what's her name? This is just right now, but it's like Chapel Roan, and then of course the Red Clay Strays for the other stuff. But let's see, Chapel Roan, Red Clays, Sturgill Simpson is always in my playlist. I don't think there's a week that goes by that I don't watch one of his live shows that was recorded in New York. Like I probably watched that. That's where I learned my structuring too. It's like this is how I want my shows to go. Like Sturgill's got it. Like that's exactly my live shows. But Willie Nelson too. Like we were just talking about him, but he's a huge influence on me here in the past year. Like I really just dove into him more than what I used to even. But
Cool, very cool. And then I think what's it? I can't imagine, but what's it like to wake up and have somebody email you Rolling Stone shouting you out?
it was pretty incredible. That was one of the biggest highlights like that I've ever got. Like to be included with like any type of write up is always going to be really cool. But whenever it's Rolling Stones, I don't know, man. That just is something that honestly, like you aspire to get, but you don't ever. You might not believe that you might get it, And then for it to happen it's almost like you don't know how to look at yourself after that point, because it's just such a cool thing. You're like, maybe I am on my way to making this happen. And so you kind of like go through this whole whirlwind of emotions, but they're all positive, of course. But it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Did you have to like tell the family, hey, don't talk to me today, kind of thing?
No, I can't even remember what I was doing that day. I think I was just here at the house. Allie was at school, and I think it was a Wednesday. And I think Hannah was off. But like, oh my gosh, shit. And
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
pretty awesome. But yeah, fingers crossed. Hopefully I might get some more. I'm not gonna push my luck though. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it.
That was the day you stopped signing autographs.
Right.
So before I don't, just one of the things that I like to ask, because everybody has a different answer, different perspective, and you've done a lot of these opening slots, and some different style bands for sure. But when you see the light bulb go off and they're digging what you're doing from on stage, from your point of view, how does that? What goes through your mind? How does that feel? And when like somebody meets you at the merch table after the fact and all of that.
So there's a special feeling every now and again that I'll get, and I don't know what it is, scientifically or whatever, but I'll be playing and it feels like a lightning bolt is like coming through, and like the whole joints, just rocking along to what we're doing. The band is just, everybody's locked in. It's almost like we're all, like I can feel their presence of our performance, but also like I can feel the whole band's presence as well, and we're all doing the same thing, like the crowd and I, and it's a really energizing experience for me. I think it's almost like a rush and a high, and then to go back or look out there, because it started happening a lot more than what it used to. I'll see them singing along to the songs, and even if it's not all of them, there's just a handful of people everywhere, and I'm like, I'm 12 hours or 13 hours away, and I've never played this place before. How, like, I don't know how they would know this, and like my streams are not like crazy numbers or anything, but they still know the songs, and so it just kind of baffles me sometimes. And then they'll come back and meet me, and I get to hear, like, we drove 4 hours or whatever just to come see you open. I don't know. That's pretty incredible. I never really thought that I would be in that position for it to happen, because I always just aspired to be as best as I could. And, kind of coming from where I'm from, I had like a hindering belief of like, even at my best, I'm still not enough, And so to see that like maybe I actually am enough, and I'm actually still not where I want to be, it kind of gives me like hope that whenever I finally think that I'm there, the other will have surpassed, and I'll, it will be on a teeter-totter instead of like feeling like I'm not enough and actually being enough. I'll feel like I'm enough, and it will be even more. But pretty cool. If that my teeter-totter reference there gives any idea.
Yeah, I imagine it's hard to just to follow up. I imagine it's hard to have that many folks that understand what you're talking about. Like, it's a pretty small group of folks that get to even the point that you're at, and being able to, I feel like I can conceptually understand what you're saying, but I also feel like it'd be a pretty small circle of people that you could share that with.
Yeah, and it is too. But here recently, I've gotten more comfortable with like, man, I go through my own stuff here, and it's usually to do with something like the work mentality of like, I've got to get more done. I'm not doing enough. And while that might not be true at all, like sometimes it's hard for me to take a breath personally, just because I've always had just such a work through it mindset, and not like, hey, let's take a pause that will benefit you and come back to it a fresher man. And so like I'm learning that now, but I'm also learning that there's a lot of other folk that are maybe not even in the music industry that kind of feel the same way. It's like, you're taught one thing's just to keep pushing through until something breaks, and it might not always be like that. You push as far as you can, and then sometimes you got to ride the wave off and then get back up on it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I don't know. Do we have time to sneak in one more tune?
Yeah, I think so. Let's
cool.
see.
And we have some really important questions after that.
Let's see. This thing's a little out of tune.
La. Just trying to help.
What song should I do? I'll do an Oklahoma Blacktop. Hopefully I can get this one sung. Don't like to drink too much when I come to town. Tend to get too messed up when she comes around. Friends are all asking me what I think of her. Lying, say not too much, the night turned into a blur. Sweeter than Tennessee whiskey, stronger than an old blackjack. She leaves all the men and the women where she come on back. Fire up her own out, burning down the interstate. Throws caution to the wind, and cares she shows up late. Smooth as a red-tailed fox, in the Oklahoma blacktop. I like to float that river, just kick on back. Don't get too far down, before she comes, picks up the slack. Yeah, comes, picks up the slack. Sweeter than Tennessee whiskey, stronger than an old blackjack. When she leaves all the men and the women where she come on back. Fired up her own out, burning down the interstate. Throws caution to the wind, no care if she shows up late. Smooth as a red-tailed fox, hotter than the Oklahoma blacktop. Ooh, this thing's out of tune. Sunday's amazing grace when she follows me home. Swear to God one of these days I won't wake up alone. No, I won't wake up alone. Sweeter than Tennessee whiskey, stronger than an old blackjack. She leaves all the men and the women where she come on back. Fire up her own out, burning down the interstate. Throws caution to the wind, don't care if she shows up late. Smooth as a red-tailed fox, hotter than the Oklahoma blacktop. She's smooth as a red-tailed fox, hotter than the Oklahoma blacktop. Whew, man, this thing is so fun. I tried to fix it while I was playing, but I think I made it worse.
Nah, you're good.
One of the things I wanted to tell you is years ago I've seen Brent Cobb several times live, but one of the times I saw him, he was just really starting to get some momentum behind him, and the crowd was singing back to him, and which I thought he was, in my eyes, he was. He was killing it at that point in time. You know what I mean? I thought he was already up there in my eyes, but you could see on his face that he was surprised that people were singing back his songs.
Cool.
And then
Yeah.
you met him, you know how cool he is. Well, he's always around at shows and stuff, and so he talks to everybody at his shows.
Yeah.
If you hang around, he'll be out. And I asked him about that because I didn't know if he was being legit or if he was just saying something, And he was like, "Man, you have no idea how many shows I've played where nobody was paying attention. How many floors we've slept on, you know what I mean?" He's like, it's so whenever it finally starts happening, it was still hard for him to wrap his head around. So
Yeah, I could.
and this was on the Shine on Rainy Day album, so which I thought was,
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? So
that's
or
pretty
whatever,
cool.
yeah, whatever the name of that was. So I can't remember. I may have mispronounced. I'm not sure if that's the album title or not, but either way, y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
we get it. Lance, all right, this is my, I don't know, this is my big question of the evening. So, tribute bands, yay or nay?
Tribute bands, if the band is not alive, tribute bands that are still alive, unless they're not touring. I don't know. If they're not touring, then maybe that's okay. But tribute bands that are still alive, I don't know. If I ever have a tribute band,
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I might be like, that's cool, But then again, I might be like, no, I'm not done yet.
I mean, the good news is if you get to that point, things have gone pretty well, right?
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Very true. It is the ultimate, thank you. Like you like my song enough or the artist enough, whoever it is, to want to go out and play all their songs. And there's some people that are that good though, and so I actually, let me think about that, because if I say no, then it would not be okay for the people that can't pick the other one. So I don't know. I'm halfway.
Yeah, that's fair.
What about? I'm sure at this point you've seen some people either online or anything covering some of your songs. How flattering is that? What is your thoughts on it?
I love it. I hope to see some more of them. I would, get in a position where I can repost them even. But I've had some people reach out on social media asking me how to play a certain song, and so I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And I actually am eventually going to get around to making a video of one of them, because the guy has asked me twice now, and I just haven't had any time to sit down and record a video of how I'm playing it. But it's really cool. I love it. Like, I wrote something that was touched their hearts, and they wanted to play it so that they could touch some hearts. I think it's cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Something you've done a lot over your life. Now it's coming back in circle. That's cool.
Still learning my favorite covers.
All right, Talbo, is that time for the?
Yeah, I think it's time. I do want to make sure we give Lance, or at least promote where you can find Lance.
Yep.
So I'll let him tell that story if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. So I'm on all social media. Instagram is Lance Roark Music. TikTok is Lance Roark Music. Twitter, X is TikTok Music. I'm very unactive on X, but I've started posting on Threads a little bit here and there, and Facebook, of course. But as far as streaming, I'm on all streaming services. So whatever streams, however you want to try to get your streams, I'm available. So
awesome. And then I know you also said you have you're actually working on some new stuff.
Yeah, I am. I'm working on my debut album, which we don't have a set date for that necessarily. And, I'm only mentioning it here and there. And so you might ask me in a week or two, and I'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. That's fair.
Doing it every now and again. And but it's a 10-song, possibly 11-song album, and it's set to release sometime in the year of 2025. And I
Cool.
might have some stuff before, maybe.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to whatever it is.
Yeah.
Cool, yeah.
Do you think you're Do you
Put 'em
think you're
out.
going to try to do the singles, you know, like quite a bit of singles before you release it, or do you going to just release the album, or?
No, I'll do a few singles leading up.
Yeah.
Whenever you put out more singles, it gives me more of an opportunity to be added to an Apple playlist or a Spotify playlist 3 or 4 times, opposed to just doing it one time and getting the one chance.
Yep.
And
Gotcha.
luckily, this year, when I was releasing my first or this EP for the year, every song got on some type of Spotify playlist, and I think 3 of the songs got on an Apple editorial list, which is a huge deal. Like, it's very hard to get.
Yep.
And yeah, I was fortunate to get those. So I want to give myself as many options or opportunities as I can.
Somehow the Soul Gravy and
Yeah.
Talbo playlists don't carry the same weight, but
Yeah, we're
happy
working
to
on
have
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're working on it. All right, man. Well, one thing you said, you sometimes you battle with good enough or whatever, and I'm sure everybody does. But the folks that have given your music a chance, it's
Yeah.
it's good enough. Like it's
Absolutely.
like it's not it's not. I know it's not easy, but it's not lacking in anything. I mean, you got really solid music out there, and I know everything is just building for better. So, but now we got to ask the tough question to bring you back down to earth a little bit. Uh, Lance, what is your favorite Little Debbie cake?
It's that's an easy one. I just can't. I got to think of the name of them. It's the sandwiches ones. The Oreo, right? Or no, not Oreo. It's the brown cream and the brown again. What are those called?
The fudge round.
Fudge rounds. Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so he's in my camp, Tabo.
Yeah, that's all right. It's okay, Lance.
What's your camp over there, Tavo?
We are oatmeal cream pie.
No. I'm sorry, Soul. That's what I'm trying
Oh
to.
no! What a letdown.
We stole them back.
There's no going back. I'm already in.
You can't go wrong.
It's only
really.
me and Oliver Anthony in the.
Right.
Oh, well,
Shit. All right, Lance, man, I appreciate the time.
yeah. Thank you guys for
Yeah.
having me.
Yeah. Thanks so much.